Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing great. Hope that there's goodness in your day. Hello, hello. This Thursday, another gloomy day. Hope that there's goodness in it for you. Good morning. Hey, good morning, Derek. Sorry I missed your call this morning. It's been kind of one thing after another. I'll catch up with you, I promise. Good morning, good morning. Everybody's doing all right. Give it a minute. I see a few more folks coming along here. Good morning. Good morning, friends. We are in this is the last 11/11 of July. We will be in August the next time we gather. We stand at the precipice of another month, sending astern of us. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Hope you're doing great. All right, give them one more bit for a few other people to come along. Please keep. I think Donna is out today at an appointment, but do keep her in your prayers. Her sister is quite ill and is expected to be approaching the end of life, and so her mom is also. Her mom is now 100 years old, and there's some real sadness about that sickness and their loss. So please keep them in your prayers as we go forward these days. Good morning, Yvette. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 30th day of July on this 11/11, and I'm glad you're here and a part of the journey. So in 1952, there was this guy by the name of John Cage, not the Marvel superhero contact guy, indestructible guy, not him, super strong guy. If you're a Marvel comic fan, you're in the wrong place. But a guy by the name of John Cage, who was a pianist, very successful pianist, filled concert halls around the country, and he wrote a piece and that he played in the midst of his concert that became incredibly controversial. And it is called 4:33, so it's 4 minutes 33 seconds, where he set up and there's a video of it you can watch. He set up the music very deliberately. He sat at the bench very expectantly, and then he did not touch any keys. It was 4 minutes and 33 seconds, if you know music, of rest. It was quite literally him sitting there for 273 seconds. The audiences, when they left, were some were baffled, some were angry, but nobody was happy. Nobody liked that part, the 4 minute and 33 second, what many would call an interlude, because it was not a musical piece, because he did not play music. But his point, and when he was asked about this, he said his point was, because this was a recorded concert that you can go watch this from back in 1952. There is sound that is happening. There's a guy that moves his chair. There's a guy so far in that coughs. It was raining that night, and you can hear the rain on the roof and the surrounding street sounds. That there was actually anything but silence, even though there was no music coming from the piano. And his point was that silence is never empty. It was said of a critic once wrote a description of a piano piece that was played. A very famous piano piece that I think it was Rachmaninoff, but I'm not sure, But the critic wrote this description of says the notes the pianist handled with the normal aplomb of a pianist, of a concert pianist. However, the pauses he handled superbly. And that if we think about what music is in many ways, or even what life is, what a day is, because we all woke up, unless we're pulling an all-nighter, we all woke up this morning and we'll all go to bed, that there's this rhythm of time we are awake, time we are asleep, time there's a note, time there is silence, or there's space between the notes, that this rhythm of our lives that is at the very most core and basic sense of our existence is actually one that that is never actually empty, but has in it all of these component pieces and component parts, that the silence actually has something to say to us, because it's not in some ways really silent. But what we end up with often is what is in the foreground and in the background, right? That we think we hear a piece of music and we hear these notes, we hear the notes. We don't pay attention to the pauses, but without the pauses, there is no music. Without the punctuation, there is no Shakespeare. Without the lines of demarcation between the things, there is actually no thing. And so we've come to label stuff in the background and the foreground, and the silence and the notes. And what I want to suggest to you this morning is just to think for a second about how we structure and what we call foreground and background, and the way we weight this often in our mind about what somebody says to us, and about like, oh, that makes us mad, or something or is hurtful, or something, or encouraging even. That the influence and the stimulus and the way that we then react to it, or versus what is going on in the background, what might be a subtext, might be something behind the thing that we think, or is a little bit before or a little bit after. There's a famous story from 1 Kings 19. It is the story of Elijah. Elijah is basically at his wit's end. He is a prophet of Israel. Jezebel and Ahab are on the throne. Jezebel has been killing prophets wholesale. They're all just killed in brutal and horrible ways. Elijah is kind of on the lam. God kind of protects him along the way and sends him an encouragement. And the encouragement is this. He says, go up on the mountaintop, and I'm going to pass by. He actually sends an angel to him. He says, the angel said that he gets a message from God, and the message from God is, I know you're struggling. I know things are hard. Like, yeah, okay, all the other prophets. Elijah's, when the angel kind of asks, what have you been up to? What are you doing here? He says, I have been struggling I've given everything I have for Israel. I've been struggling for the God of Israel. I've been struggling for Yahweh, and it's all just turned to ashes. It's like, I got nothing left. I got nothing in the tank. And he says, and the angel says to him, go to the mountaintop, and you will see the glory of God. And so we pick it up, and so the Bible, we pick up the story there. And the Lord said, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. And then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, a still small voice. And then Elijah heard it. And he pulled his cloak over his face, and he went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. We often can get overwhelmed. We often can get dissatisfied with the noise or the sound or the music of the world as it is or as it is not. And what we can forget when we do that, when we get this, when we're the sour notes that are being played in our midst, what we forget is that there is a music behind it. That the music of what's happening, the storm of today, the headline du jour of our own little psyche is not where God is. And it's not to say God is absent from it, but that's not the presence of God. That's just what's going on. That's just the earthquake and the fires and the wind. There's always be that. There'll always be notes played. But the silence in the background that is behind it, the container that holds all things and everything, is actually closer to the presence of God. That the still, small voice whispers to us, not in the cacophony of the world, but in the silence of our own being and our own contentment. And so today, I want to invite you into the practice of contentment. Lots of people, and myself included, I've done this. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times in our 11:11 journey. Think about having a thanks practice, a gratitude practice. We talk about the Ignatian practice of what was the best thing that happened today and why. The idea of the examen of our days, of having a deliberate gratitude practice. I'll be a big fan. Totally recommend it. It will help your day and it will help you. But one of the things of the ancient virtues that we don't talk about much is actually the practice of contentment. Thanksgiving is great. Thanksgiving talks about Thanksgiving helps us map out the sweet notes of existence. Helps us map out the songs that we like and the songs that we don't like. The little riffs that we're practicing in the midst of our day. But the practice of contentment is the practice of taking that which is in the background and letting it be in the foreground. The practice of contentment is actually the practice of the 433. The practice of sitting in the silence and all of the kind of maybe the discomfort of what that means, but also hearing what is around it. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like. So to practice contentment, how can I just decide to be content? I can't, if this is bothering me or that's bothering me, I can't just make a decision to be content, can I? Well, maybe not, but I came across this earlier today, and I was just so thankful for it because it's such a beautiful image. He said, I think one of the ways to think about this is to think about, particularly when something is eating us up, particularly when there is a particular noise, when there's some sort of kettle drum going off in the background, that is to think about it this way. To imagine kind of our lives as a stream or a river or a brook, kind of a flowing body of water, and to see that there's water flowing, and this is really our lives as they are. And in the middle of it, there might be a great rock. There might be a giant rock in the middle of everything that's going on. That rock is really the kind of the thing that has got us. Maybe there's a sickness that we can't get over. Maybe there's a grief that is just weighing on our hearts. Maybe there's a loss that we can't figure out how to negotiate. Maybe there's just something that's just made us so angry that we can't believe we're living in a world with this level of injustice or whatever it is that is taking your attention. Just conceive the fact that there is this river and there is this rock, and that thing can exist within the river, and that it has effect on the river, right? Like it has effect on there are eddies, there are swirls, there are little rapids that will happen along the in and around the rock, that it totally has an effect. But what we can notice, though, is also that the river continues to flow, that the water continues to move downstream, And our lives are very much this way, and that the practice of contentment is actually seeing the fact that the water continues to flow, that our lives continue to move, that things continue to go, even in the midst of when there's a big fat rock in the middle of it, even when there is a thing that creates swirls and eddies and ways in which, the thing about eddies is that there are these swirling currents that take you back upstream, that actually they can lead you away from the very direction in which you're being called, but just for a minute, it's not forever. It's just, we can get caught up in all of the currents and the swirls of it, but at the end of the day, it's just a rock in the river, and the river continues downstream. And friends, so my invitation to you this morning is to think about the 433 of your life. To think about the fact that the silence, the things that are behind it, are actually the things that we've assigned to the foreground and the background, and that to know that the background is not less than, but it's actually the thing that contains all the rest of it, all the beautiful notes and all the sour notes, all that is content, and that the silence itself is not empty, but in it is the still small voice. There's the beauty of the gentle whisper through all the fire and all the earthquakes and all the things that would break us, that in the midst of it, that it takes us to the holy where we don't even feel worthy to look upon it, and we pull our cloaks over our heads and we head back out to the mouth of the cave to go back to the work of God. That, friends, I think is the practice of contentment. That is the practice of listening to the 433, the 273 seconds of silence, and letting them speak to us in the movement of the chair, in the cough of a fellow patron, in the rain on the roof, and in the music of what happens. Friends, my hope for you today is that you will find that a bit of the practice of contentment. Now, it doesn't have to be thanksgiving. It doesn't have to be gratitude for all the things that God has given you, but simply a recognition that in the flow of your life and in the rocks of your life, they are contained within the world in which God has created for us all, and that in it, His hand and His love and His grace covers all of it. Peace and grace to you all, my friends. Hey, everybody, I just want to check in and see. Derek, good morning. Karen, great to see you. Donna, you did make it. Great to see you. I hope things are well. Praying for you and your family. Brad, glad you're here, brother. Great to see you. Nice. Good to see everybody. Peace and grace to you all. We will pick it up next week with another 11:11.